Hey folks, it's Wade the Shoe Dog, and welcome to the Shoemakers Academy. I've got a pretty interesting pair of shoes today, two pairs actually. This is a brand. The brand is Palladium, and this company was established in 1947, and they're French, and they've been making this what is the French like Legionnaires boot kind of style. Now, I think this type of boot predates the company. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is if you can imagine the French Legionnaires doing their work in Morocco or Angola or wherever the French Foreign Legion did their work in Africa. This excuse me, this is the kind of boot they wore. Canvas. The originals would have had a vulcanized rubber sole, vulcanized directly to the upper. This looks like it's made by cold cement, and but we're gonna find out. We're gonna cut this open. So quickly, I'm gonna just read the tag. It says, "Our selection of fabrics and treatments and original finishes used to make the most authentic Palladium style might create some intentional defects on your footwear, scratches, color defects, wrinkles. Due to the unique nature of our materials, some migration of colors or natural oils may occur during use." Okay, so basically this is kind of a down and dirty, real rough, cotton canvas kind of boot. Now what I have right next to it, so this is the original, right? You can imagine guys wearing this. Now this actually is the modernized version of it, and quickly I'll just, so this is a rubber outsole unit here, and it's got a rubber badge, just canvas with cotton canvas binding. The tongue is literally just canvas again, right? So again, a little bit heavy. This is a modernized version of it, which is kind of cool. It's got the same rubberized top rand, but the bottom here is actually EVA, so that's kind of cool. And actually the reason I'm not cutting this pair is because I'm using this pair. This is quite nice. Now this actually doesn't have much of a heel counter in it, and it's all polyester fabric. It's got this elastic shock cord lacing and a little like spring lock, on the back tab to pull it tight, and a snap to secure the lace, and this little snap here. So it's what's cool about this, what I really like about this particular boot is that the silhouette and everything looks like the classic style, but it's modern materials, different lacing system. It weighs nothing. It's a pretty cool thing here. And it's an EVA unit. It's got the logo molded into the bottom. But anyways, pretty cool. So we're gonna set that aside, and we're gonna study the authentic canvas one. And now, after reading that tag, you say, okay, well, let's what do you think the quality of this is gonna be, right? They're already giving us some cues to expect something a little different. But when I look at the canvas, yeah, we see some wrinkles. The rubber part really looks nice. Looks beautiful. I mean, the mold's well made. The parting line along this edge and here and the toe really looks quite clean. The texture is uniform. Looking at the bottom, same thing. It's got a nicely defined texture here. The logo here is pretty clean. So again, the texture, really this is quality equipment. Actually, now the next question is where's this bad boy made? And let's just check it out and see what it says here. Okay, this says made in China. Okay, there you go. All right, so what we're gonna do, so just from a symmetricality point, these look pretty straightforward. Again, because they're a little bit rumply, but I don't see any loose stitches. I see a little back stitching. Now, when I see that back stitching here, I want to just take a look and see, is that part of their manufacturing process? Is that where they put the tag on? Is why there's a little back stitch there and it looks like it. But other than that, we're just looking at the quality of the stitching. Yeah, it's got back stitching at these important parts here. You can see where they backed up and tacked it down. You know, looks pretty good. Okay. Now I can't remember which one. I guess we're gonna set the left one aside. I keep always forget which one I cut here. And let's take a look inside this shoe here. Hey, I appreciate you coming here. Hey, if you want to see a lot more shoes, opened up, then check out our shoe material design guide. There's about 25 different shoe models, basically cut up, and I've gone through and I've marked and detailed what all the materials are. Now, this shoe is actually pretty simple. There's not much to it. Okay, so this is nice. I mean, a little stuffer thing here. Paper wrap cardboard. I never know why they I mean, I guess, right? Why do you wrap paper on cardboard? I don't know. Good question. Okay. Let's fish the footbed out and just see what they have inside here. Okay, so we've got just a screen printed logo footbed here. Basically flat. It's just die cut. There's nothing fancy. I'm curious. I thought this other one over here, the more modernized one. Oh yeah, okay. The more modernized one has a molded footbed. So that's what you get for an extra. Excuse me, for an extra $30, I think this shoe on the website was $70. So for canvas with a rubber outsole, yeah, that's pretty cheap. I mean, it's what you pay for a Converse, right? Okay, so nothing spectacular on the footbed. I do notice the footbed is polyester, not cotton. Good question. Why? Who knows? The laces are cotton, which I like. Regular plastic aglets there, so nothing remarkable there. But let's get the laces out so that we can get a feeling of what's going on inside this shoe here. Just so we can see. I mean, hey, the signs are pretty good. When you look at a shoe and you see the outside is pretty well put together, then you assume that the inside is going to be pretty straightforward there, and there's not going to be too much of an issue there. Sorry, let's get the laces out. When you look at the outside of a shoe and things look pretty good, that's a pretty good indication that the inside's good. Hey, the reason we got to check these is because you just never know, right? I mean, interesting, like I said, that the footbed was polyester for some reason. Good question. I mean, hey, maybe it's the cut edge won't fray so badly. Good question. Hey, I mean, I think you saw I saw the video from the other week that we did the the Converse, and those things have been cotton inside and out for decades, and now the inside's polyester, which is a little bit disappointing. All right, so pretty nice shoelace, not super tight weave, but hey, that's good. I wouldn't expect any more or less. Okay, so we're looking at the tongue, just tongue label sewn through, and we've got two different weights of canvas, on the tongue. Now they've actually sectioned the face. Okay, so maybe it can get a little bit of shape to it, having the curve. When you get your foot in there, you want to know that the connection here between the tongue and the vamp is relatively smooth. Now you can see here when you look inside, there's going to be some fraying. That's what you're going to expect, because this is canvas. You could try to stitch that or overlock it or something, but by the time you get in there and you start trying to make it not fray, you might be just causing a buildup of more material that could be uncomfortable anyway. So the fact that it frays a little bit, as long as it's thin, is pretty okay. So now that we're in here, I mean, I see that the lining, the vamp lining, the collar lining here, the tongue lining is all the same canvas. So and it's probably looks like it's the same weight as the binding. So this shoe essentially is really made out of just three things, right? you have your rubberized logo, which looks like it's vulcanized on. Or we're gonna examine that when we start cutting in a second. But okay, now okay, here's our tag. It says made in China. Okay, great. Okay, now while we're here, I'm looking at the rivet backs, and basically you see how smooth that is, right? There's no cracks or anything. So all these rivets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a side, 12. They all look nice and smooth. The rivet backs are not split. Now I can feel that there's some reinforcing in here, and we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so now we're looking at the footbed here. And so this shoe is stroboled. The originals were probably board lasted, but for modern construction technique, strobel is perfectly fine for a canvas shoe like this. Not a big deal. I see a little hole there. That hole is there generally to prevent air trapping. So when the shoe's being made and they're putting the outsole down, to just make sure that no air gets stuck in there. Okay. So it's not a defect. You can actually see there's one in the front too, and we see stroboling. Now this shoe doesn't have any channel stitching or anything, so all we're gonna see is the strobel stitching. And let's and I'm just gonna just put my hand inside here, and actually when I run my hand inside, it actually feels really nice and smooth, and you'll see that in a second when we get in. But it really is nice and smooth, so I like that. Nice touch. Okay, just a woven label. What's it say here? It says, okay, founded in Lyon, France. I guess those are some coordinates. Altitude of 162 meters, minimum maximum. Okay, all right, nice. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Let's get this open up here. Actually, let me use these. I'm gonna use my sketchy Chinese scissors that are nice and sharp. Okay, we'll get in there. Now we're gonna cut all the way down here. Okay, so now before I cut into this is the parting line. Okay, and then also on this shoe you can see too that there's a parting line here. So this mold, and this parting line goes around here, and then there's a perimeter one. So this just helps this mold open so that you can get this piece out, because if it's all clamped in, there's an undercut here to make the toe. So the mold has to open sideways for you to get the piece out. And I have some pictures of what that mold looks like. It's a bit more complicated. It's a bit more complicated than your standard mold. And I have a client that's making another kind of a shoe that uses that same kind of mold technique, and the mold gets a little bit more complicated. It's not technically more difficult. It's just the mold maker has to make some other modifications. Okay, so we're just gonna cut down the parting line. And now this shoe, when I first got it, I was like, oh, I'm curious if the shoe was over molded, but and we're gonna just try to explore to confirm that the shoe was cemented on instead of over molded, and we're gonna look, because I've also worked with some customers that are making shoes where the upper is on the last and they take it to an injection machine, and you could inject a thing like this. Now this feels and smells like just nice rubber compound. So I think when we get deeper into this, we'll be able to see if there's any evidence of that. And the first thing you'll see, and I can feel it already, is that there's egg crate inside this thing. So that tells me that it's not directly molded onto the shoe. So we're just gonna keep cutting here, and be careful of your fingers when you're doing this yourself. It's nice to explore, but also just be careful. I mean, if you have a bandsaw, that's nice. I've go back and forth between using a bandsaw and using a blade. You know, the bandsaw can help you get through it sometimes, but also it makes it a little bit messy, and so it can be a little bit harder to see. But a nice sharp blade usually does the trick. I know you guys have seen me cut dozens of shoes. You know the deal. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So this is all right. We've got some things to look at here. So first of all, you know, we're strobled, and actually, yeah, let's just stop and take a look here at the vamp here. Now, you can see how smooth everything is here, right? So this is you know, this is strobled, and because it's canvas and it's got a little stretch to it, that you can get a lot of pressure, and you can get it pulled nice and tight onto the last, and you can get this thing nice and smooth. Okay, now, so this unit is not any fancy like direct attach or anything. They take the rubber cup sole and they in the upper and they just glue it together, right? It's cold cement. And how do I know that? I know that because I can see that there's some waffling in the sole here, and also I can see that there's a EVA, right, sheet, and they've just piled it up. And this is pretty common, and actually we'll just start peeling it back here. So we're gonna peel back. Okay, so all right, there's a couple of things to see here now that we're inside. So, you know, they've got the model number, the size, and some other markings printed on here, and these could be alignment lines, right, printed on. And then we've got a piece of EVA here. We've got one whole sheet that does the whole length of it, right? And then we just have a little block to fill in the heel, right? So you have a little bit more heel cushioning. You know, what is this? 2 or 3 millimeters, and this is what, maybe another 4, not even 5. So, you know, well, okay, well, hey, you know, here we'll make sure that we mark this too. Let's get a look here so you can really get to see what kind of a thickness we've got here. And the answer is not a lot. And actually, you know, that's part of what makes this lightweight one such a nice product, because this is all foam. So this is not only is this nice and light, but you've got a lot more cushioning because of this whole unit being EVA. So that's nice. It's worth the extra money in this case. But again, this is a classic. So classic's classic. So let's just cut this down here. Oops. Let's just cut this down here so that we can show you exactly what kind of a stack height we've got here. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So here we go. We'll put that together and we'll get a look. So, the answer is, hey, a little bit more than usual. I mean, when we opened up the Stan Smith, I don't know if that video's not up yet. Actually, we'll probably be up before this one. But when we opened up the Stan Smith, what was in it? You'll see nothing, right? Which I was a little bit, disappointed in Adidas for that. So I'm excited to see that this outsole is not fully egg crated. It does have some EVA. Doing it by feel. Yeah, this could be 45 or 50, which is, degree. That's the hardness of the EVA. That's very typical for any kind of a running shoe. And the footbed, is probably 35, a little bit softer. So, hey, for this kind of casual style, not a high performance, pretty inexpensive boot, but it has EVA inside. So good on them. Okay. So, you notice when I peel this back that it was all glued, and I like to see that because it really bugs me when I start to peel these apart, and you'll see some of these that there's no cement, like this copy shoe over here. You start to pull things apart and you're like, hey, there's no glue in here, so how's that going to stay together? And the answer is not. Oh yeah, look at those nice cracked rivet backs too. So that, yeah, fake shoes suck. Okay, so this shoe, for being basic, it's well made. So what's not to like, right? So okay, so that's kind of the sole unit. Natural, rubber lugs here, solid, which is a little bit makes the shoe a little bit heavier, but it will make it last longer. And when I peel it back, I see there's just a little bit of waffling. Um, you know why they have a tiny little waffle like that. I'm not sure. It doesn't save you much, but um, pretty decent stromal. It's not padded, but at least it's a little thicker, so that's okay. So now looking at the heel lining, so it's kind of it's not all glued together, right? It's hung mostly. We'll start to peel it and see. Okay, so it is fused on the heel counter, and what they've done here too is they've actually assembled the. Let's peel it into this a little bit here, so you can see what they've done here is they've had the backing fabric, and we'll just keep peeling this back. They've done the binding, right, and they've covered the edge of the heel counter with the binding. Okay. So this heel component actually is together, and the edge is covered with binding. That's a nice touch. Okay. We're just gonna cut into this a little bit more, so we can show you what's going on behind here. Okay, so there's the backing of our canvas, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a blade here, and we'll pick at some of the stitching here, because I want you to see what's going on with the behind the eye stay here. Let's see if we can. I want to expose this so you can see. Those of you that are getting your shoemaking supplies from Shoemakers Academy will start to recognize some of these things here. It looks like a little super tough. And oh yeah, okay. Let's just get those stitches going here. I guess I could have got a seam ripper instead of doing this with a razor blade, but hey, you guys just, this is what's here in the workshop right now. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got some super tough, right? And this is that polyester non-woven that is exactly what it sounds like. It really is not stretchable, and they've put a little bit of a little nylon or polyester on the face of it too, and I think they're doing that to stop the eye stay from stretching at all, right? So by the time you have the super tough, excuse me, and this polyester backing the canvas, then you'll be able to lace this sucker up. The eye stay stands up nice and crisp. And because when you pull the thing, instead of one eyelet dragging towards each other, the whole eye stay will be nice and just come together. So I like that. That's a good choice there. Okay, so we'll just keep cutting here, and we're gonna work our way down here because we want to get a good look. Okay, so we didn't really take a really close look at the heel counter. So when we look at the heel counter here, you can see that it's got some contour, and they've skived the edge, right? So skiving is just cutting the material back a little bit to make sure that that it's not so thick, so you don't feel an edge and it doesn't stick proud, right? Just makes it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit nicer. It takes a little bit of time to do it, not much. Okay, so this counter material, what we're looking for here is feels like Surlyn saturated board. It's not what we're looking for is we want to avoid stuff called chemi sheet, which is a solvent based reinforcing material that just you put a little acetone on it and it softens up, and when you make the shoe it dries and it's solid. That stuff's no good. That's what you see in this kind of fake stuff. This is a thermal moldable sheet, and you basically get it in the shoe, heat it up, use a back part molding machine, and that gets you this nice this nice contour that you have here, right? The shoe has a little bit of hourglass here, right? And that is what is going to give this shoe its nice shape. And this heel counter is, when I put my hand in, it has a nice contour. It's going to cup your heel. It's going to hold you in. That's good stuff. Again, basic shoe, but they've taken some time to make it right. Let's quickly, while we're here in the upper, I just want to slice through the logo and see if we can see anything here, because I'm kind of curious as to how it's put on there. It could be welded, or it could be actually just die cut rubber pressed on, or vulcanized onto it. But I mean, actually, it's not the same color as the outsole. I do see a little parting line there. That's fused on there pretty good. So I think that might be. It really is not. Doesn't want to come off there. Yeah, it might be vulcanized onto the thing, onto the canvas. So that's not coming off. That's good. Okay, let's get into the toe in the vamp here. So the vamp, actually, what do we see? There's nothing here, right? You've just got 2 layers of canvas, and when we work our way into the toe cap here, there's a little bit more glue, but there isn't any extra reinforcing. And actually, I mean, hey, does it need it because it has this nice toe cap on it? I guess it doesn't need it. Yeah, I mean, feeling this one here, there's nothing here. You've got enough with the rubber there. It's nice and smooth. There's no, what complication do you need, right? So that's there. Okay. So I see a little bit of glue, whether that came off the lining or came through from the bonding process. It's not that important where it came from. It didn't get through to the lining, so the lining is still nice and smooth. There's no oversaturation of glue or anything. And actually, that's, now that we have it open too, you can just sort of run your hands down here and say, hey, is there any rough stitching or any do they get out of hand back stitching or anything? This all is pretty nice. It's pretty smooth. So we'll just peel that back a little bit. Okay. Now, and usually, when you're looking at this shoe, you want to try to pull this back and just see, because they've done a pretty nice job. When I look at this whole pair, I see there's just a tiny little bit of overgluing. So they mark the upper, they bring the outsole together, they press it on. Again, this was not direct attach or anything fancy. This is just cold cement. So you would generally see a little bit of glue, right? Because there's a lot of edge here around, right? There's a little extra perimeter, right? Because you've got this whole toe cap here. But they're pretty careful. I don't see much, there's barely any overglue. Hey, if there was a millimeter around, overglue is better than underglue, right? So sometimes when you get a pair of shoes and you start pushing on the edge, you'll see a little gap open up. But in this case, I don't see anything. This shoe is really well put together. So yeah, hey, I excuse me, I like this style because of sort of the history of it and where it came from. You can just imagine, the guys tromping through the desert wearing this kind of canvas style. Again, it's been modernized a little bit because the old ones surely would have been vulcanized directly to the canvas. They would not have any EVA inside. So when I look at this shoe, I see one that's relatively inexpensive. I think I paid $70 for this. And the Palladium, it's a French brand, but they have, I guess if you'd gone to their product line and looked at it, maybe 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, it would just be this in 3 colors and maybe high and low, and there's an extra tall like paratrooper one with the top rolled over. But it would be this. But now they've really gone and they modernized it. The brand now has a bunch of sneakers and more athletic stuff, and not just this classic French Legionnaire jam. They've got all kinds of stylish looking sneakers and stuff. Whether their office is here in California, somewhere in LA. Whether they design it in LA or design it in France, who knows? But again, for this classic, Legionnaires desert boot, really, they've done it. Hey, they could easily have done it sloppy. They've done it nice. Really well put together. Again, it's really basic construction. You could easily make this boot vulcanized too. I mean, the original ones were, but the way this is put together, regular cold cement, simple canvas. They've taken the effort to make a nice smooth heel counter, and the inner lining is all nice and smooth, and the workmanship is pretty well there. They did go through the extra effort to have some nice packaging, right? So even in the box that it came in was pretty nice. So again, hey, Palladium, they make some nice shoes, and I give this one a 10. 10 on style and 10 on workmanship. Hey, it's a little bit simple, so there's not too much fancy stuff with it, but what they did a nice job with what they had. So I give it a 10 out of 10. Hey, thanks a lot, folks. I really appreciate you spending time with us. If you are looking for more shoemaking knowledge, then check out Shoemakers Academy, where you're going to see the books we have. How shoes are made, shoe material design guide, the pattern book, how to spot fake sneakers, how to start your own shoe business. If you go a little further from the books, then you can see all the courses we offer. If you have any desire to get into the shoe business or to start your own shoe company, then please come on over to Shoemakers Academy. We've got tons of great stuff for you. And hey, I'm Wade the Shoe Dog. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.